Hello, welcome to Nuts Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Happy Friday. It's nearly the weekend. We've nearly made it there. Hope you're well. Here's what's on today's show. First, we're hearing from some Victoria Centre market traders who've been issued with eviction notices by the council.
Think about how our future is going to be. They've put my wife into a stress now. She's been sick, and then I have to be taking in charge of the family as well. So we don't know where to go and where to come.
We'll have more on that shortly. Plus, we'll be hearing how a group of families and a council have come to an agreement over controversial grave decoration rules. The Brookstow relatives were being asked to take down decorations like ornaments, but thanks to meetings with the council and the local press, this has been put on hold for at least a year. And we're also going to be finding out how families and former athletes are supporting research into brain injuries in sport.
It is still very much a postcode lottery on what's available for people, but the more we can spread the word and get this research on certain aspects of it all, the better.
And we've been to the training session for Nottingham Forest's new netball team as they prepare to launch their campaign next spring.
There's a time and a place for it to be really serious and professional and elite, but this is not what that's about. So again, if they had smiles on their faces, I enjoy it, they enjoy it.
Oh, that looks awesome. It's all part of a bumper sport, which also includes Forest boss Nuno Espirito Santo, Stags boss Nigel Clough and Notts County's Stuart Baynard, whose Magpies get their FA Cup campaign underway tonight.
It's the best competition in the world. We want to go as far as we can in this competition, and we're really looking forward to it. It's exciting when the FA Cup comes around, the draw, when we all sat down and watched the draw together.
All that and loads more coming up just for you. But first, we are discussing how controversial rules have been put on hold that would have seen grieving families removing decoration from their loved ones' graves. Brookstow families had been told items like ornaments and vases need to be taken down by January, but a petition with more than 1,200 signatures called for this move to be stopped. And last week, families attended a Brookstow Borough Council meeting and managed to secure a sit-down chat with the authorities' leader. Well, that sit-down happened yesterday with big changes for families. And joining us now to tell us how it all went is our local democracy reporter, Lauren Monaghan. Lauren, thank you very much for joining us. So talk us through how it all started. What sparked this controversy?
So it all goes back to a July Brookstow cabinet meeting. So there was a ruling that cemented the restriction on items. So this meant that notices got put up in Caldwell Cemetery, and it was giving families January 23rd next year. That was the deadline for them to remove any ornaments, or the council will do it for them. So this includes gravel, vases, windmills, basically anything that people put on their loved one's grave, and to create like a little garden patch for them. They say that it's because of maintenance issues and health and safety, and that the rules have always been in place. But yeah, this petition was created, and I checked earlier and it was nearly at 1,300 signatures, so that's good.
So this is clearly a big deal for people. Obviously, the graves are a really personal place for people to go. Now, there was a council meeting last week where families got to actually speak to the council. How did they end up there?
So I was already going to a meeting anyway. It was the Bramcote Bereavement Services last Thursday. Just coincidence, I was already going. Notts TV were already in contact with the families, and if it wasn't for Notts TV telling the families that they could go to this public meeting,
because sometimes you just don't know you can go.
Yeah, they weren't aware, and it was a good opportunity for them actually. They were able to question the council leader, Milan Radulovic.
Amazing. So what happened between the council and the families?
Yeah, so this was a very, I suppose, random chat. I don't think that they were expecting it, so it wasn't as formal as such. But the families just went on about the contradictions in the rules. So, for example, one of the families, Nicola, her son died in 2018. She has never been told to remove any ornaments. I think she even asked them at the time. No restrictions on it. Another family, Lindsay Collins, on her son's grave, never ever been told that the workers have seen her maintaining his grave and have never brought anything up. So it's this communication issue basically for the families that no one's ever said anything. Milan Radulovic, he was saying that some people take it for granted a little bit, and some graves aren't appropriate. But he basically, at that one last week, invited the families for this sit-down chat to work for a fairer approach, basically.
Because like you say, if it's, you know, I've seen it myself in cemeteries, like the pictures we're going to see in a second, you know, that you see it a lot. So I think it's sort of assumed that you can put them on. And like you say, people haven't been told, and they've had graves there for years and years. So how about yesterday? What was the outcome of that sit-down chat?
Yeah, so they had their private meeting yesterday, and I was able to get in there. So this was Milan Radulovic, the council leader, the families, Richard Mott, the strategic manager of the bereavement services, and Councillor Carr was also there. And this is where Milan Radulovic, he called for a 12-month suspension on these rules, which was a massive decision, actually.
Huge, yeah.
It was a big moment in the room, actually, especially for the families. So this will include a working group, so this will be between council officers and the families, over the next 12 months, meeting regularly, where they'll be able to come to that fairer policy, a policy that works for everyone, and in Milan Radulovic's words, one where families can basically grieve how they want to grieve, but within reason. And this is where the notices that are put up in Caldwell Cemetery will be taken down. So that was another big thing. It's kind of a U-turn.
Absolutely, this is incredible. So what have the families had to say since then?
So obviously they're happy. I think it's a big relief for them. It's a step in the right direction. But it's not over yet. They say they've got to do a lot more research over the next few months to bring to the meetings, and there is a little bit of wariness from the families, and they admitted that to me, understandably as well. But overall, it's a step in the right direction for them.
So from now, the changes that were happening in January no longer happening. The families have now got sort of a year to make the
Bit of breathing room.
That's
basically.
it, before more decisions can be made. It's a really emotive subject. It sounds like a lot of work has gone into that. So well done. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you very much. Right, from one controversial council plan to another now, and that's because some traders with stalls in Nottingham's Victoria Centre market have been issued with eviction notices this week. It's all part of the City Council's ongoing plan to close the market next year, saying it subsidised traders for years, with some traders even in thousands of pounds of rent arrears. Well, on Thursday, 3 traders say they were handed eviction notices by the council and told to begin leaving their stalls, despite some of those businesses being there for decades. Kira Burns reports.
Shutters at the Victoria Centre market are already being pulled down for good. That's because Nottingham City Council has begun terminating some contracts with traders and started serving them with eviction notices. The council is in the process of closing down the market after 50 years in the city centre. It says the facilities are no longer profitable, with some traders being subsided heavily and even falling into rent arrears. Most traders have been given the date of March 2025 for when their leases will end, but for some, the date for when they were asked to hand back their keys was brought forward to Thursday, Halloween. One of those who has been evicted is Vivian David, who ran Vivi Collection. She was only informed about the decision earlier that day and says she was waiting for adequate compensation from the authority.
If they send a letter, they will tell you if you didn't pay your rent, they will ask. Those letters was, if you didn't pay, we will take you to court, we will like bailiffs to come in and all that. But they are not fulfilling what they promised to do. They didn't fulfill it. I would not be in debt if they didn't tell me that. Okay, well, you have to pack your things and we will give you this compensation. Then you sort out, both of us will sort out ourselves. I should have gone by now.
Another trader affected by Thursday's evictions was Frank Sago. He'd taken over the perfume and fragrance shop from his wife because she couldn't sleep due to the stress of rising bills. He feels the announcements by the council of the market closing has reduced the footfall even further, making it harder to pay the rent.
They've given us a notice to leave by March. And then, obviously, they put us into this mess because they've already advertised, they've announced, they've gone on radio that they've closed the place because we are not getting any customer to come here to take anything or buy anything from us. So it's very hard for us to even pay our rent.
A spokesman for Nottingham City Council said, "We met with traders on September 19th, 2024 and confirmed our plans to close the market. We have served notice on traders with significant rent arrears. Unfortunately, several stallholders have breached their legal agreements by failing to pay rent, collectively owing the council over £400,000. Any trader with significant unpaid rent has been or will be formally notified to vacate the market. Kira Byrne for Notts TV.
Thanks, Kira. Time for some more of your news headlines now. First, and a rapist who exploited his victim by drugging her and lacing her with alcohol has been jailed. 64-year-old Winston Virtue's attack took place 2 years ago at a house in Nottingham, and he was arrested after his teenage victim told somebody what had happened. He was arrested and charged with rape before lying about what happened and denying it in court. Following a 2-week trial last November, Virtue from St Anne's was found guilty and was sentenced to 11 years in jail at Nottingham Crown Court on Thursday. Next, police have launched an appeal after a man was pushed through a barbershop window in Nottingham. The incident happened in Upper Parliament Street at 4:15 this morning when a 20-year-old victim was found lying on the floor in front of the cut father. Police say he suffered cuts to his legs and wrists and was hospitalised with injuries not thought to be life-threatening. Parts of the area was cordoned off into the morning, and Nottinghamshire Police say anyone with information should call them on 101. Right, let's take a break now, but grab a cuppa and come back soon as we've got a bumper sport coming right up, and that includes Forest netball and football, as well as county stags, panthers and even the rugby too. Plus a look at what you can get up to across Nottinghamshire tonight as we head to the first weekend of November. We've got loads more on the way and some fabulous guests too. If you're a fan of Wet Wet Wet, you're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome back to Notts Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Happy Friday. Here's what's on the show today. First, and Newark MP Robert Jenrick is just hours away from finding out whether he'll become the next Conservative Party leader. Voting closed in the membership ballot on Thursday, with the Conservative Party expected to make an announcement tomorrow. Mr Jenrick, who represented Newark for the past 10 years, is a former Housing Secretary and Immigration Minister. He's up against former Business Secretary and Equalities Minister Kemi Badenoch. And today, the bookies had Miss Badenoch as the odds-on favourite to win the race. Next, and police in Radford will be increasing patrols on Bonfire Night following large-scale disorders during last year's celebrations. Extra officers will be on standby after antisocial behaviour on November the 5th last year. Police say around 200 young people gathered in the streets around Midlands Way, with fireworks being fired towards people and multiple 999 calls being made. Nobody was injured, but 8 people were arrested for violent disorder. The force said fireworks safety leaflets are also being handed out to people there. Time for your sport now, and although the start of Nottingham Forest's debut netball season is still 19 weeks away, the team's head coach, Chelsea Pittman, took to the court today to coach some of the future stars of the sport. The session was one of many this half-term, from full-day camp training to performance-based sessions. And today was the first one by the former England Roses player, who said it was a joy just to see the girls enjoying the sport. Sam Jones was courtside watching it all happen.
These girls are at the centre of attraction and getting the full Nottingham Forest netball experience with pointers from head coach Chelsea Pittman. The event took place at Nottingham High School, giving the girls the chance to learn from the best. And even though the brand new team in our city are yet to play, excitement is certainly building for their first match at the Motorpoint in March.
I think that's what sport's so great at doing, is the enjoyment factor, and there's a time and a place for it to be really serious and professional and elite, but this is not what that's about. So again, if they had smiles on their faces, I enjoy it, they enjoy it. The 10-year plan is Forest in 10 years' time. Every single person, every single girl is from this region, and that comes down to community. And also we want people to fall in love with our sport, give it a go and stay there, because I think the statistics are at 16 girls drop out and don't do sport in general, but if they can fall in love with the game of netball and stay playing it, I think it's beneficial for life skills for the future as people get older.
Today's sessions was open to girls 10 and above, with more than 20 showing up to pass, defend and shoot. 12-year-old Chloe was one of them, she can't wait to see Nottingham's new side in action.
We worked on mostly footwork patterns and different types of passes, and she went over the technique of the passes and how we should do them, and along with that we did fun games to make it more fun, and we did match play at the end where we played different positions, so we got to try new things. I've met a few players, but I've always wanted to meet Chelsea because she's a really good player and really inspirational. I'm going to go a few of my friends to loads of the games, and I'm very excited for them.
The session today did come at a cost to parents, but the club are teaming up with the Nottingham Forest Community Trust to get as many boys and girls into football and netball as possible. Those sessions will be free of charge to people in the city with the hope of paying off in the future.
So it's an opportunity for anyone that wants to start sport, from any background, from any school, any age, wants to get involved. It's somewhere to start. We're giving them that opportunity, and it's great that the trust have kind of come on board with us alongside the Premier Kicks, I think. So it's really good that we have that opportunity, because you don't get that much in netball. So I think for us to kind of pave that way and start there with those 3 sessions, it's brilliant.
The team begin their season in March, with many of these girls hoping to one day play in the arena in the years to come. Sam Jones for Notts TV.
Oh, that looks amazing. I love playing netball. Always goal defence because I'm very tall. Starting with some football now, more football now. Notts County, because they are in action tonight, facing Derbyshire side Alfreton Town in the FA Cup first round proper. The Pies welcome the National League North side to Meadow Lane at 7:45 and are expected to field a changed side from the one that beat Harrogate in the league last weekend. Speaking ahead of the game, head coach Stuart Maynard said he's looking to utilise a lot of his squad.
Obviously, we've had a few niggles over the weeks, which everyone knows about, but from the start of the season, we've highlighted it so clearly that the starting 11 won't bring us success this season. It's going to be the squad, and whatever 11 we put out on the pitch, we believe can go win games of football. It's the best competition in the world. We want to go as far as we can in this competition, and we're really looking forward to it. It's exciting when the FA Cup comes around, the draw, when we all sat down and watched the draw together. So it's a really exciting time, and we're looking forward to the game. That's the difficulty in the cup. You need luck in the cup. It's a competition that everyone goes on about, the underdog. It's mentality. We've got to make sure that our mentality is right when we go into the game. We know that this game is going to be a really tough game.
And Mansfield Town also get their FA Cup campaign going this weekend when they travel to Manchester and take on Curzon Ashton. The Stags look to continue their winning ways after beating Newcastle United under-21s in the Football League Trophy midweek, and also getting a good draw at home to league leaders Birmingham last weekend too. Speaking ahead of the game, manager Nigel Clough provided an injury update on some players and said National League North side Curzon Ashton pose an unknown challenge.
Bit of an unknown quantity, other than pretty much what we said yesterday as well. They are used to winning games at the moment. They're a very confident side in the Conference North, and it'll be a very big occasion, I think, to have a League One side visiting them. So I think we'll have our hands full on Sunday. In the summer, it was one of those where that was, when you get promoted, then you look at all areas of the pitch, where do we need to improve? And we said right from the end of the season, now the goalkeeping department we don't need to touch. Happy with Christie, with Scott. We've got Owen Mason. We wouldn't try and get Owen on tonight, but Scotty was playing so well, he deserved to stay on and get his clean sheet. Anthony Nunes as well, who's an international. So very, very pleased with those 4 goalkeepers.
And it's Premier League action for Nottingham Forest when they take on West Ham tomorrow at the City Ground. Speaking to the media yesterday, head coach Nuno Espirito Santo said they expect a tough game from a strong Hammers side that beat Manchester United last weekend. But he hopes his goalkeeper Matt Sells, who joins him, and forward Chris Wood in the October Manager and Player of the Month nominations, continues his good form.
Team, very good team. We've been carefully analysing the last game against Man United. Good win. They come in a high. They are a good group of players, experienced players. Very good manager. It's always so tough. It's always so tough. So we are preparing with all the details that we can, because West Ham is a good team. It's always hard to play against such good players. Very important, especially when we're talking about individual. In specific positions, goalkeeper is so specific and so special that confidence plays a big part, not only from Mats, but the way he's transmitting to the team, being solid, makes us much better, and we are delighted.
And so, with all that in mind and some tough fixtures for our teams, let's see what this week's Team Talk panel of former Notts forward and manager, now Mansfield Town youth coach Charlie McParland, former Reds, County and Stags forward Craig Westcar, and Notts County superfan Colleen Mulvaney has to say about Notts County, Forest and Mansfield's games this weekend.
Time now for our predictions. FA Cup first round proper then. Notts against Alfreton Friday night at Meadow Lane. Charlie?
Notts County, yep.
I'll go Notts.
Yeah. Notts County.
Yeah. Second round beckoning then for Notts County. Following that, it's Forest against West Ham on Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Draw. I think that could. I've got a wee sneak at a draw. West Ham have picked up a win, but they've got good players. Draw.
Yeah, Colleen?
I'm going to draw, maybe Antonio against his offside if he plays. Yeah,
yes.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie's right. They have got some players that could nick a goal. Bowen and
They've not performed though, have they?
No, they were awful on Sunday. Should have got beat, really.
It's a great chance for Forest, Craig, again, but it's just I'm just sort of going gut feeling a bit. Hopefully a Forest win, but
yeah, I'm going to go Forest win.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Forest win.
Yeah.
Just through momentum. At the minute.
Yeah, they certainly have got that at the moment. And then, of course, on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, it's Curzon Ashton against Mansfield Town.
Mansfield win.
Yep.
Tricky game, but Mansfield win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a small ground up in the middle of the hills there, just near Manchester.
I'll go Mansfield win, definitely. Yeah.
Easy Mansfield win.
Yeah.
Easily.
And you can still catch the full Team Talk episode on demand right now on our website, nottstv.com, and also on our official YouTube channel too. I know, fancy, or it's on the channel tonight at 11 p.m. On to ice hockey now, and it's another double game weekend for the Nottingham Panthers. They are going to be looking to get back to winning ways after losing their last 3 games, including the 4-2 midweek defeat away at Guildford on Wednesday. The side welcomed the Cardiff Devils to the Motorpoint Arena on Saturday before travelling to Scotland for an away clash with the Fife Flyers on Sunday. Both of those games are Elite League fixtures. And don't forget, of course, we will have all the action from the Panthers game with Cardiff tomorrow right here on Notts TV, and that's taking place next Wednesday. The 2-hour show will air at 9 p.m. straight after next week's Team Talk. On to rugby now, and Nottingham get their Premiership Cup campaign underway tonight when they welcome Coventry to the Bay. The Archers haven't played for a fortnight since their 48-14 win over London Scottish last month and welcomed Championship leaders Coventry to Lady Bay for a 7:45 start. Coventry have won all 5 games in the league so far this season, whilst Nottingham have won 3 and lost 2. Time now for your Friday photo of the day. Look at this great shot and all the birds in the sky over the River Trent, taken by Mackenzie Louise on Instagram. What a brilliant photo, thank you for that. Time now for your weather. Tonight we'll see temperatures dropping to 11 degrees as we get later on into the evening. It will stay dry though, which is a bonus. Tomorrow will be a cloudy day for the most part with a high of 14 and lows of 10. Lastly, Sunday we'll see lows of 8 and a high of 13 in the early afternoon with more clouds, but again it should be a dry weekend, which we like. Right, let's take another short break, but don't go anywhere because we've got a big What's On coming up for you, including your guide for tonight, but also a look for the coming fortnight too. We'll see you in a sec. Hello, welcome back to Friday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. Hope you're all right today. Here's what's happening in Notts today first, and workers on Nottingham's tram network may go on strike around Christmas after a staff member was suspended. Trade union GMB said it will begin balloting its 200 members on Monday after who it describes as a senior union rep was suspended by Nottingham Trams Limited. The union said the rep was victimised for doing nothing more than standing up for their members, with the comments coming after GMB also called off Goose Fair strike action at the 11th hour. The tram operator said it was extremely saddened by the potential strike but wouldn't comment on the union's claims. Next, and workers started on removing the sundial from Heart of Sutton in Ashfield Town Centre. Ashfield District Council is removing the sundial, which was first installed in the 1990s as part of a project to renovate Portland Square. The plans include improving the central space by planting raised lawns and trees, as well as opening up more land for outdoor dining and seating. Market traders will also be moved to an upgraded Fox Street, though, through the project, which is due to be finished next year. Time for your What's On guide. Now, a little look at what you can get up to tonight to kickstart your weekend in the best way possible. And to start things off, over at Kaluna on Foreman Street is their Perea Halloween Special Night. Stores for that open at 9 p.m. Tickets are still available, £11, so it's not too late to grab some for you and your friends to head to that one. Alternatively, for a bit of glitz and glam on a Friday night, you can get to the Drag Bingo with Kitty Tray. That's taking place at Not My Monkey in Newark. Starts at 7 and runs until 10:30. Again, tickets are available for this one and they are £11 too. Lastly, but by no means least, you could try the Kaleidoscope event at the Malt Cross on St James's Street. That starts at 7:30. It's a night of musical improv comedy. Love that. And you can get tickets on the door. Now, we go from one What's On guide to another, and that is because we are about to be joined by Eve Smallman, who's the founder of the Notts Edit. This is a local Nottingham news, events and lifestyle website which was set up a year ago and has gone on to thrive in the city. And we caught up with Eve a few weeks ago to chat over how the Edit is doing, and now she joins us in the studio to go through some of the great events that are happening in our area that you can pop in your calendar. So thank you for coming back to talk more about this. It's lovely to have you back on the sofa. Now, you spoke last time you were on about the Notts Edit. It's been going for a year and it's been going really, really well. But for those who might have missed that, tell us a little bit more about what the Notts Edit is.
Yes, so the Notts Edit is a lifestyle publication dedicated to showcasing the best of the Rebel County. So every week we publish 2 articles. We do Notts Going On at the start of the week, which has news, events, property, and that's just like a kind of guide to set you up for the week ahead. We also do a weekend long read, which can range from events guides, it can be listicles of, best Sunday roast, best cocktails, things like that. Or it can be a long read feature as well, where we interview someone local who's doing something brilliant. So, we focus on quality over quantity and making sure that everything we put out is, written by experienced journalists who know the area inside and out. And you can subscribe to receive our articles in your inbox for free, which is super convenient.
I love it as well. I am Nottingham born and raised, but even there's so many things that are going on in Nottingham, and I love reading the things that are going on. You go, I just had no idea that was even going on. There are brilliant things going on across Nottingham. Why don't you tell us about some of them?
So Nottingham Comedy Festival has kicked off November 1st to the 10th. That's happening all around the city centre at various different venues. I think you mentioned Kaleidoscope. Yeah. That's at Malt Cross. There's a few others happening, for example, Canal House. As you say, there's improv, there's stand-up, there's also group ones as well, where you can join in if you've got comedy bones as well. The ticket prices start from about £5 and they kind of vary depending on the event. So if you've got an evening where you think, I could just might like to pop out a little bit, or I don't fancy just being in front of the TV all evening, actually get out into the city, because there's amazing local acts and international ones and national ones as well, like varying different levels of comedians, which is really exciting.
And they're so good. We had one of the guys on yesterday's show who's part of the comedy festival, and I love the fact that it is so accessible, it's so inclusive. Like you say, ticket prices are low, some of them are just pay what you can, and it's a really good, I think Nottingham is so good for comedy at the moment. It seems such a thirst for it, so I'm very much looking forward to that. That, of course, as you say, kicks off tonight. What else is going on?
Also got Our House, that's happening at Mansfield Palace Theatre from 5th to the 9th of November. And that's basically, if you like Mamma Mia, which is all ABBA songs, this is madness songs.
Oh, I love
which
that.
Is exciting. It follows a tale of a teenager who commits a crime and his life kind of splits into 2 different sections, and it shows what kind of path he might take either way, which is dramatic. And obviously if you like singing along, when you go to musicals or theatre shows, sometimes you're like, I don't know this song, I'm going to go get a coffee or something. With this one, you'll know all the songs and be able to bop along to them, everything.
And I love the Songs of Madness as well. I think Madness is one of those bands where you go, maybe I know 2 or 3, and then you listen to the Songs of Madness and go, turns out I know them all. Love that. Brilliant. Anything else that's going on?
Also got Lustra, which is happening at Lakeside Arts from the 8th to 10th of November, which is sort of over 50 creators like jewellery makers, homeware artists, bringing wares to Lakeside, which is part of University of Nottingham campus. So if you're looking for Christmas presents,
I was just going to say.
Yes, I love looking for places that are in person because, you know, shopping online is great and it's convenient, but when you're actually meeting the people that have put their love and thought into what they've created, it actually creates a bit more of a personal experience when you're buying it. And then when you give the present to someone, you've got a whole story to tell them, and it actually just feels a little bit more personalised, which I think is lovely.
I love that, and I love the fact because now it's November, we can officially start talking about Christmas and buying Christmas presents. It doesn't feel too early, and I feel like you'll blink and then suddenly it'll be the middle of December, and then you'll have to panic buy those presents. So yeah, that's a great idea. And a final one?
Yes, well, speaking of being organised about Christmas, at Southminster there's a Christmas Carol that's happening on November 14th. I mean, what a gorgeous venue for such a classic Christmas film. Well, Christmas story obviously follows, I don't need to explain it, but Ebenezer Scrooge, as he flies with the three ghosts, you know, becomes a more positive person. And this event has sold out the past few times it's been at Southminster, so if you want to get the Christmas magic early on, I'd definitely book tickets before it sells out again.
Oh, I love that, and I love the fact we're starting to talk about Christmas things. There are so many brilliant things that are going on. Eve, if people want to find out more and just kind of follow what's going on the Not Said It, how can they do that?
So they can subscribe to our emails, which come in your inbox for free as well. And as I said, we send out Not's Going On every Monday, and we also send out events guides. We are sending out a festive events guide next week as well. So if you want to keep in the loop and, as I say, get tickets for things that might sell out, I'd definitely keep an eye out for that.
Amazing. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about that. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you very much.
Right, time for a reminder of one of your top stories today. And some traders with stalls in Nottingham's Victoria Centre Market have been issued with eviction notices this week as part of the City Council's ongoing plan to close the market next year, saying it's subsidised traders for years, with some traders even in thousands of pounds of rent arrears. Well, on Thursday, 3 traders currently in arrears with the authority were handed eviction notices and told to begin leaving their stalls, despite some businesses being there for decades. Kira Byrne reports.
Shutters at the Victoria Centre Market are already being pulled down for good. That's because Nottingham City Council has begun terminating some contracts with traders and started serving them with eviction notices. The council is in the process of closing down the market after 50 years in the city centre. It says the facilities are no longer profitable, with some traders being subsided heavily and even falling into rent arrears. Most traders have been given the date of March 2025 for when their leases will end, but for some, the date for when they were asked to hand back their keys was brought forward to Thursday, Halloween. One of those who has been evicted is Vivian David, who ran Vivi Collection. She was only informed about the decision earlier that day and says she was waiting for adequate compensation from the authority.
If they send a letter, they will tell you if you didn't pay your rent, they will ask. Those letters was, if you didn't pay, we will take you to court, we will like bailiffs to come in and all that. But they are not fulfilling what they promised to do. They didn't fulfill it. I will not be in debt if they didn't tell me that. Okay, well, you have to pack your things and we will give you this compensation. Then you sort out, both of us will sort out ourselves. I should have gone by now.
Another trader affected by Thursday's evictions was Frank Sago. He'd taken over the perfume and fragrance shop from his wife because she couldn't sleep due to the stress of rising bills. He feels the announcements by the council of the market closing has reduced the footfall even further, making it harder to pay the rent.
They've given us a notice to leave by March. And then, obviously, they put us into this mess because they've already advertised, they've announced, they've gone on radio that they've closed the place because we are not getting any customer to come here to take anything or buy anything from us. So it's very hard for us to even pay our rent.
A spokesman for Nottingham City Council said, "We met with traders on September 19th, 2024 and confirmed our plans to close the market. We have served notice on traders with significant rent arrears. Unfortunately, several stallholders have breached their legal agreements by failing to pay rent, collectively owing the council over £400,000. Any trader with significant unpaid rent has been or will be formally notified to vacate the market." Kira Byrne for North TV.
Thanks, Kira. Right, let's take some more of your news headlines now first. And a man has been arrested following an alleged indecent exposure incident in Nottingham. Nottinghamshire police were called to Lister Gate in the city centre at about 11:15 on Wednesday evening after getting reports of a man exposing himself to two women. A 31-year-old man was arrested shortly afterwards on suspicion of exposure and was taken into custody for questioning. In a statement, police said it was an extremely upsetting incident for the victims and praised them for helping officers. Next, a man has been arrested after a stabbing in Mapley. Police were called to Marmion Road at 6:25 last Sunday evening after reports of a teenager being chased by a group of youths. A man known to the teenager suffered a stab wound to the stomach shortly afterwards after intervening near Beecham Avenue. He's still in hospital in a serious but stable condition. Now, police have arrested an 18-year-old man on suspicion of committing GBH with intent. A 58-year-old woman was also arrested on suspicion of aiding and abetting. Right, let's take one final break now, but come back after the ads as we're heading to a research event exploring dementia in former athletes. Plus, Helen Barnes catching up with a member of Wet Wet Wet. See you in a bit. Hello, welcome back to Nots Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Happy Friday. Here's some more news headlines first. And a police dog helped officers to make a double arrest after a 100-mile-per-hour chase in Ashfield. It started near a former scout hut in Annesley Woodhouse just after 2:30 on Wednesday morning when someone reported seeing two people entering the hut with baseball bats. Officers, including a dog handler, then chased a BMW through Selston and towards Alfreton. The officer and police dog Russo tracked down the suspects and two men aged 20 were arrested. Searches of the scout hut then led to 180 cannabis plants being found. Next, and a council tax rise of about £5 a year is one of the measures being planned by Mansfield District Council to balance its budgets. The Labour-run council expects a £3 million budget gap by April 2028 and has gone out to consultation with the public on plans to claw back cash. That includes nearly a 3% tax rise as well as reducing planning, revenue and benefit services. The consultation will be reviewed by Cabinet members on November the 11th as part of the budget setting process. Moving on now, and an event at Trent Bridge Cricket Ground this week discussed research into links between sport and brain injuries and how former sports stars can better be supported. It saw former athletes and their families meet researchers, charities and local community groups to discuss the findings and future work. That included the wife of Stapleford-born former England and Notts County defender Dave Watson, who went public with his dementia diagnosis in 2020. Izzy Fekulak reports.
From the triumphs of a professional football career to a diagnosis of a life-altering disease, this research's aim is not just to improve care for former athletes suffering from various brain injuries, but also to understand how families can be supported on their journey too.
I'm married to a former professional footballer, Dave Watson, who went right all the way to play for England. And in 2020, he actually made a statement confirming that he had a neurodegenerative disease. It's not going to get any better. We know what the outcome's going to be. I know that it's going to be a heartbreaking journey. It is still very much a postcode lottery on what's available for people, but the more we can spread the word and get this research on certain aspects of it all, the better.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CDE, is the form of dementia related to repeated trauma to the head, which comes as part of a package for professional athletes. This means it's the most common type of neurological disease for all athletes, not just footballers.
Yeah, my research was in combat sport. I did boxing. That led to my own issues in this area with my own abilities to function, and it gets hard to lecture, right, when you've got a fuzzy brain. My experience has helped me get some quite interesting data and quite interesting work in that area. I could stop boxing whenever I wanted, but professional footballers can't stop heading the ball and rugby players can't stop tackling. One of my main passions for this is around consent for the next generation, and that a lot of young people play sport and their parents encourage them to play sport because it's good. I also want people to know that there's a chance they'll get neurological conditions, cognitive decline, concussions and all that sort of thing. And I think that helps people then make a much better decision as to what sports they should do and how they should do them.
Funded by Nottingham Trent University's Foundation for the Sociology of Health and Illness, researchers include experienced academics and the future generation of scholars, as well as input from local charities.
Well, the last sort of 7 years I've been running a charity, a Nottingham charity called Trent Dementia. The years that I've worked with older people and people with dementia, I've never met anybody who is getting the support that they maybe need. There's not a lot of research in this area that spoke to family carers yet. My focus is, what's your experience? How is this affecting you as a family, and what could we do to help?
Everyone here hopes that the future of this research can improve the lives of those suffering from the consequences of playing sport and the lives of those caring for them too. Izzy Fekulak for Notts TV.
Thanks, Izzy. Right, it's time for something fun now, because lovely Helen Barnes over at Loving 80s Music has been chatting with a music legend ahead of his band's show in Nottingham early next year. Helen caught up with Graham Clark, the bassist of the rock band Wet Wet Wet, and the band's only remaining original member. They're bringing hits including Love Is All Around, Angel Eyes and Sweet Little Mystery to the Royal Concert Hall on February the 3rd with special guest Heather Small. Here's what Graham had to say to Helen, including working out what iconic Notts lingo, "Hey up me duck," really means.
And it's great that you keep coming back to Nottingham. You do like it in the East Midlands, don't you?
We do. I mean, listen, it's a privilege to play anywhere, you know. Open the fridge door, man, we would be there, you know what I mean? So, no, listen, it's great. That's the perks of the job, to meet guys like yourself. You know, we don't often get to the peripheral cities in the UK, but when we do, it's, you know, it's nice to go to London and all the big major cities, but it's also nice to go to the provinces as well, I think, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's important, you know,
Absolutely.
to get...
We've got loads of Wet 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 fans here in Nottingham. Now, when we saw you in Leicester, you were with Go West. When we see you in Nottingham, you've got Heather Small, which is amazing as well. Do you get to choose? Do you have to like pitch to your management about who you might tour with? How does this work?
No, absolutely. I mean, you know that, and you've been doing these festivals too, that lots of these guys that are on there, Heather was on a few of the shows that we were on, so you get to say hello. And so, you know, we had a good time with Go West, and we thought that was great, because it was like it was a double bill, and you know, it adds a value to the show. And I think people saw that they were getting good value for their money, seeing two really good acts. So that was the conversation was, coming off the back of Go West, we need somebody good to come and open the show. And that's where meeting guys like Heather on these festivals is great. So luckily, you never know. Some people don't want to do that. You know, some people want to go out on their own, but Heather was up for it. And when they asked the question, it was she said yes, and so that's why we've got a brilliant show lined up.
You guys are doing amazingly. You're headlining festivals everywhere, aren't you? You're headlining rewinds and things like that. And you know, it is, I love coming to see, I love it when you have your little solos, Graham, and I love the cheer from the crowd, because you are, you know, the only original member now, so you must be getting all of the love, really. Well, I know like Kev and the others do, but like we focus most of our love on you, Graham.
That's good to hear. I need it. No, but yeah, I mean, Graham Duffin, who's the guitarist, he's been the constant.
Sorry,
as well.
I always forget.
I know, and in my life too. You know, well, Graham was the new guy, believe it or not, in 1983. You know, so listen, it's one of these things where, yeah, as I said, there's a bit of an adjustment, but we've adjusted. We're enjoying being out on the road. You know, I think these songs they still have life in them.
People won't believe when they come and see you how many amazing hits there are. It's just one after the other, like every single song we know and every single song we can sing along to. It's incredible.
Well, we deliberately do that now, you know. I mean, we don't have this. I mean, I saw REM talking about, you know, and they're not together anymore, but they went through a similar period where they all kind of fell out. And he said, never mind getting the set list together, we couldn't decide what restaurant we were going to eat. You know, we couldn't even come to that decision together. Now, it gets like that. I understood that. It gets like that in a band sometimes. But now we know what we have. We know what we want to do. You know, we want to play the music that people want to hear. You know, they want the hits.
They do.
Who am I to say, if a song is a hit, suddenly you go, oh yeah, that is a great song, isn't it? A lot of people agree with me, So I mean, that's the whole nature of Wet Wet Wet. We want to go out, we want to play the songs that people know us by, and we want to have a sing song.
Well, finally, you are coming to the East Midlands, so you need to know a little bit of our dialect that we have here in Nottingham.
Yes.
If you were to hear, like, "Hey up, me duck," would you have any idea what that meant?
Hey up, me duck. Right.
Yeah.
I think it's we have a certain vernacular in Scotland as well, where unless you come from, you grow up, what's for you? I mean, that's one that we use. I imagine that, what did you say? Hey up, duck?
Hey up, me duck.
Hey up, me duck. That means hello and how are you doing, right?
Wow.
Oh, I love that. Wonderful interview. Thank you so much for that, Helen. If you are going to see Wet Wet Wet, have a great time. Right, elsewhere on the channel. And tonight marks the return of our monthly Notts TV debate show, where host Francis Finn is joined by a panel of local leaders to discuss the hot topics hitting the headlines this month. Topics that included some of the measures increased included in Wednesday's budget, like the bus fare cap rising from £2 to £3. That airs tonight at 8:30. Take a look at this.
People who can't afford or don't drive into cities, drive to work, etc., etc. And it may sound a very small amount, but that's per trip.
It's a lot,
and
£2 a day potentially. £10
absolutely.
a week.
I don't think this is a fair one. I think it's probably going to hit the wrong people, and I'm not sure where the money's actually going.
It's interesting you say that, because that was the argument against the winter fuel payment withdrawal, wasn't it? Because the Labour Party bills itself as the party for the working people, those that aren't so well off. And it did stick to its promise, though, not to increase taxes, working taxes. But once you make that promise, well, what other wriggle room was there, Anne, for them to claw back some money into the economy, into the government pot?
Yeah. Well, the outcome from this budget is going to be extremely interesting.
Time for another look at your Friday photo of the day now, and this great shot of the River Trent. Look at that, it's gorgeous, taken by Mackenda Louise on Instagram. What a brilliant photo, thank you for that. Time for a look at your weather, and tonight we'll see temperatures dropping to 11 degrees as we get later into the evening. Tomorrow will be a cloudy day for the most part, with a high of 14 and a low of 10, and finally Sunday we'll see lows of 8 and highs of 13. In the early afternoon, more clouds, but I've got to say, no rain, so I'll take that. That's it for today, and another week as well on Notts Today. Thank you as always to our brilliant guests. Al Booth is back on Monday, same time, to do it all over again. But until then, from everyone here at Notts TV, have a great weekend. I'm Emma Caldwell. Bye-bye.